Imagine a region where two rival air forces face each other across contested skies, one boasting numbers, budgets, and prestige purchases, the other smaller, sharper, and relentlessly adaptive. Yet, when the clouds of conflict gather, it is not the side with the flashiest toys that commands respect, but the side that knows how to fight, how to innovate, and how to win. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why Western analysts believe Pakistan's Air Force has quietly raced nearly a decade ahead of India. The Pakistan Air Force has consistently demonstrated a higher degree of operational readiness and training superiority when compared with its regional rival, and this has been a point of focus for many Western analysts observing South Asia's air power dynamics. Operational readiness is not just about having aircraft parked in hangars or impressive numbers on paper. It is about how quickly those assets can be deployed, how effectively they can be maintained, and most importantly, how skillfully they can be flown in real-world combat scenarios. Over the decades, the PAF has invested not only in acquiring advanced aircraft, but also in building a culture of professionalism and rigorous pilot training that ensures these machines are used to their full potential. Western observers frequently note that PAF pilots display a kind of discipline and adaptability that is critical in modern aerial warfare, where engagements can change within seconds and pilots must be capable of split-second decision-making under extreme pressure. This emphasis on skill over sheer numbers has given Pakistan an edge, particularly in situations where quick and decisive responses matter more than just fleet size. Analysts often highlight that PAF training regimens are designed around combat realism rather than ceremonial displays, which means pilots are trained for real engagement conditions rather than just peacetime drills. The results of such training were visible in past encounters, most notably during the 2019 Balakot crisis, where PAF pilots showcased not just technical precision, but also psychological composure under hostile circumstances. Their ability to adapt, remain calm, and execute calculated maneuvers while facing superior numbers was a demonstration of readiness that went far beyond theory. Western experts often contrast this with the Indian Air Force, which, despite having more aircraft, struggles with issues such as pilot fatigue, inconsistent training standards across different squadrons, and bureaucratic hurdles that affect preparedness. The PAF's relatively smaller size has forced it to rely on efficiency and precision rather than bulk, and this has shaped a force that prioritizes quality over quantity. The professionalism of PAF pilots is further enhanced through joint exercises with countries like China, Turkey, and even NATO members in past collaborations, exposing them to a wide range of tactics and operational philosophies that broaden their skill set. It is this combination of constant training, adaptability, and operational focus that convinces Western analysts that Pakistan's Air Force is functioning at a level of preparedness that India will need years to match. Pakistan's collaboration with China in the development of the JF-17 Thunder has proven to be one of the most decisive factors in giving its Air Force a competitive edge, and it is often described by Western analysts as a masterstroke of strategic innovation. Unlike India, which continues to grapple with delays, overruns, and political squabbles in its indigenous fighter projects like the Tejas, Pakistan has managed to field a modern, versatile, and highly adaptable aircraft at a fraction of the cost of Western or Russian jets. The JF-17 is not just about affordability, it is about accessibility, customization, and rapid upgrade cycles that allow the Pakistan Air Force to stay ahead of evolving threats without being bogged down by the bureaucratic or industrial limitations that India faces. The JF-17 program has allowed Pakistan to achieve a form of technological independence, reducing its reliance on Western suppliers and the unpredictable political strings attached to foreign procurement. This move alone has positioned the PAF as a forward-thinking institution, ready to embrace indigenous solutions and international collaborations that can evolve at the pace of modern warfare. The Block 3 variant of the JF-17 demonstrates this principle clearly, with its integration of an advanced AESA radar, modern avionics, electronic warfare suites, and long-range air-to-air missiles that rival those found in aircraft, costing 3 to 4 times as much. Western observers often point out that while India showcases its Rafales as symbols of prestige, the PAF has quietly ensured that its JF-17s can carry out similar missions with equal effectiveness, if not greater flexibility, given their cost efficiency and operational availability. A modern air force does not win wars by simply having the most expensive aircraft. It wins by ensuring those aircraft are combat-ready, numerous enough to deploy effectively, and adaptable enough to counter diverse threats. The JF-17 has given Pakistan exactly that balance, creating a fleet that can be upgraded swiftly without waiting decades for domestic production hurdles to be cleared. Moreover, the joint production with China has allowed Pakistan to acquire not just a fighter jet, but also the industrial and technical expertise to expand its aerospace capabilities in the future, something India continues to struggle with despite having a larger defense budget. For Western analysts, the JF-17 represents not only a smart defense acquisition, but a disruptive shift in South Asian air power, proving that Pakistan's innovation-driven approach places it ahead of India by nearly a decade in terms of agility and modernization. One of the central reasons Western analysts argue that Pakistan's Air Force is ahead of India by nearly a decade is the stark difference in the pace of modernization between the two countries. In Pakistan, the modernization of the Air Force has followed a streamlined, decisive, and result-oriented approach where technological advancements are integrated without unnecessary delays or bureaucratic obstacles. The Pakistan Air Force has continuously adopted new technologies such as drones, advanced electronic warfare systems, and precision-guided munitions with remarkable efficiency. It has done so by prioritizing adaptability, securing partnerships with allies like China and Turkey, and avoiding the kind of over-reliance on overly ambitious indigenous projects that end up consuming more time and resources than they deliver. The modernization of the PAF is seen as organic, flowing from its operational requirements rather than driven by prestige or political grandstanding. This makes its air power not only modern, but also highly relevant to real-world threats and combat environments. In sharp contrast, the Indian Air Force has been trapped in a cycle of delays, indecision, and procurement controversies that have significantly slowed down its modernization. The Rafale acquisition deal, although celebrated in Indian media as a major leap forward, came far too late to address the declining combat squadron strength of the Indian Air Force. With a fleet that is still heavily reliant on outdated MiG-21s and MiG-27s, India faces a massive challenge in replacing its aging aircraft before they become a liability. Its indigenous Tejas project, which was supposed to symbolize self-reliance, has faced decades of delays, constant redesigns, and performance issues that have prevented it from filling the gaps in the fleet. Even when new technologies are introduced, the IAF's integration process is hampered by bureaucratic hurdles, red tape, and political wrangling that slow down the pace of adoption. This is where Pakistan pulls ahead, because its smaller air force cannot afford inefficiency, and therefore it embraces modernization with urgency and clarity of purpose. Western analysts often emphasize that modern warfare is about timing as much as technology. A fighter jet or weapon system that arrives 5 years late may already be outdated by the time it enters service, whereas a timely, even if less glamorous acquisition can shift the balance of power. Pakistan has mastered this principle by consistently updating its operational capabilities in sync with global developments, while India's slow-moving bureaucracy often leaves it fielding weapons that are technologically behind their time. Pakistan's ability to integrate Chinese and Turkish defense systems into its air force structure has been a major factor in why Western analysts believe it has surged ahead of India in terms of capability and adaptability. Unlike India, which often finds itself entangled in long procurement processes with Western suppliers or domestic development struggles, Pakistan has cultivated strong defense partnerships with nations that prioritize speed, affordability, and technological advancement. Through its collaboration with China, Pakistan has gained access to state-of-the-art technologies ranging from advanced radars to long-range missile systems and modern unmanned aerial vehicles. These are not technologies that take decades to arrive. They are delivered, integrated, and operational in timeframes that keep the Pakistan Air Force consistently aligned with the pace of modern warfare. This cooperation has allowed Pakistan to maintain a cutting-edge air defense network, equipping it with tools such as surface-to-air missiles, electronic warfare suites, and integrated command systems that strengthen its defensive shield and offensive reach simultaneously. Turkey's growing role in Pakistan's defense sector has also been a significant multiplier of PAF capability. With Turkey rapidly emerging as a global leader in drone technology and electronic warfare, Pakistan has tapped into this expertise to strengthen its arsenal of unmanned aerial systems and precision-guided munitions. The Turkish Bayraktar drones, known worldwide for their effectiveness in modern conflicts, are an example of the kind of platforms that Pakistan has been able to acquire and adapt for its own strategic needs. This partnership ensures that Pakistan does not lag behind in the unmanned warfare domain, an area that is increasingly seen as decisive in future conflicts. The Indian Air Force, by comparison, has struggled to acquire and integrate similar capabilities, often being slowed by negotiations with Western suppliers or delays in its indigenous development programs. This difference in agility between the two countries in securing and deploying new technologies has widened the gap in their air power effectiveness. Western analysts also point to the seamless manner in which Pakistan has managed to integrate these systems into its existing structure. Instead of acquiring prestige systems that operate in isolation, the PAF has focused on interoperability and ensuring that new technologies strengthen the overall networked effectiveness of its air force. Whether it is linking drones with manned aircraft, deploying electronic warfare to blind enemy radars, or using Chinese missile technology to extend the strike range of its aircraft, Pakistan has demonstrated a clear strategic vision that emphasizes integration over mere possession. India, on the other hand, frequently struggles with interoperability because its systems come from a mix of Russian, French, and indigenous sources that are not easily compatible with each other. This results in operational inefficiencies that Pakistan has largely avoided through careful planning and strategic partnerships. For Western observers, this ability to quickly integrate advanced systems from reliable partners is a defining feature of why Pakistan's Air Force is regarded as a step ahead of India, with a focus on cohesion and combat effectiveness rather than fragmented modernization. Combat experience is one of the most decisive factors that shapes the credibility of an air force, and Pakistan's Air Force has consistently proven itself in real-world engagements, something Western analysts highlight as a crucial reason it is ahead of India. In theory, both nations may possess advanced aircraft and technology, but the difference emerges when these assets are tested under the pressure of actual conflict. The Pakistan Air Force has repeatedly demonstrated not only technical skill, but also psychological readiness and tactical superiority in moments where composure and execution matter most. A prime example is the 2019 Balakot crisis, where the PAF engaged the Indian Air Force in a highly volatile environment and managed to establish aerial dominance without escalating the conflict to uncontrollable levels. Western experts studying that episode noted how PAF pilots exhibited calm precision, successfully engaging Indian aircraft and forcing the opposition into a defensive posture, despite India's larger fleet and supposed technological superiority. What sets the PAF apart is not just one incident, but a history of being battle-tested, whether during conflicts with India, counter-terrorism operations, or joint exercises with allied nations. PAF pilots have gained experience in diverse environments, from high-altitude mountainous terrains to low-level strike missions, building a level of versatility that is hard to replicate through simulations alone. Western analysts often remark that while the Indian Air Force participates in exercises like Red Flag or Garuda, the PAF's operational tempo gives its pilots constant exposure to live missions that sharpen their instincts and tactical awareness. This makes them more adaptable under combat conditions where decisions must be made in seconds and hesitation can prove fatal. Moreover, PAF doctrine emphasizes flexibility and decentralized decision-making, empowering pilots to adapt on the fly rather than being rigidly bound by top-down directives. Such an approach allows them to exploit enemy mistakes quickly and maintain momentum during aerial encounters. In comparison, India's air combat record has been less impressive, with episodes marked by avoidable losses and systemic shortcomings, as seen in the accidental downing of its own helicopter during the Balakot tensions. These incidents expose weaknesses not just in training but in command and control, undermining confidence in their ability to handle high-pressure scenarios. Western experts stress that combat credibility cannot be bought with expensive jets like Rafales or Sukhois. It comes from real-world testing and proven readiness, which Pakistan has displayed consistently. For this reason, the Pakistan Air Force is regarded as far more reliable and seasoned in the eyes of analysts, with a combat-hardened edge that India will take years of actual conflict experience to develop. The long-term strength of an air force lies not only in the aircraft it flies today, but in the strategic vision that guides its evolution for tomorrow, and this is where Pakistan's Air Force is seen by Western analysts as pulling ahead of India by nearly a decade. The PAF has adopted a future-oriented approach that emphasizes adaptability, cost efficiency, and the rapid incorporation of emerging technologies such as drones, artificial intelligence, and advanced missile systems. This vision is not about chasing prestige platforms for political symbolism, but about ensuring that the Air Force remains combat relevant in an era where warfare is increasingly driven by networks, unmanned systems, and precision. For Pakistan, this has meant prioritizing investments in drones that can provide persistent surveillance and strike capabilities, AI-assisted decision-making systems that enhance command and control, and air-to-air and air-to-surface missile integration that extends the reach and lethality of even its relatively smaller fleet. This forward-looking strategy allows Pakistan to punch above its weight, making its air force far more agile than India's, which continues to prioritize high-profile acquisitions that often come at the cost of modernization depth. Western analysts point to the fact that India's procurement culture is heavily influenced by politics and the desire to showcase big-ticket purchases like Rafales as symbols of power, but this often leads to gaps in interoperability and limited scalability. The focus on prestige leaves India with a patchwork of systems from Russia, France, and domestic sources, many of which do not communicate seamlessly with each other. By contrast, Pakistan's vision stresses integration and efficiency, ensuring that new systems, whether Chinese drones, Turkish UAVs, or advanced missile technology, work cohesively with its existing platforms. This approach creates a synergized fighting force rather than a fragmented one, something modern warfare demands. Moreover, Pakistan's willingness to explore futuristic domains like AI-powered targeting, electronic warfare dominance, and swarming drone concepts shows an openness to innovation that analysts say will be decisive in the next generation of conflicts. A future-oriented vision also requires a realistic understanding of budgetary limits and operational requirements, and here Pakistan once again distinguishes itself. Rather than chasing costly prestige projects that drain resources, the PAF focuses on affordable yet effective upgrades, ensuring that modernization is continuous and sustainable. This allows the PAF to remain nimble, adjusting to technological shifts much faster than India, which often finds itself bogged down by procurement cycles that last decades. Western observers emphasize that in air warfare, the side that adapts fastest usually gains the decisive edge, and Pakistan has already proven its ability to stay ahead of the curve by embracing technologies that redefine modern combat. For this reason, analysts argue that India's Air Force, while larger in size, lags nearly a decade behind Pakistan in terms of future readiness, strategic clarity, and technological vision. When we strip away the noise of propaganda, the glitter of multi-billion-dollar acquisitions, and the obsession with raw numbers, the truth becomes hard to ignore. Pakistan's Air Force has carved out a decisive edge through discipline, innovation, and foresight. From the battle-tested courage of its pilots to the disruptive brilliance of the JF-17 program, from its seamless integration of Chinese and Turkish technology to its unrelenting focus on future warfare, the PAF has built an air power model that values readiness over rhetoric and adaptability over arrogance. India, weighed down by delays, bureaucracy, and prestige-driven acquisitions, finds itself struggling to match the speed and efficiency with which Pakistan has transformed its skies.